and he put these Jubilee clips, you know, that you get on hose pipes.
Yeah.
He put them on, and he cut me.
If you've pissed me off enough, there ain't going to be any arguing. I'm just going to start punching.
3 lads went in with machetes.
I've been asked to beat a couple of people up for money.
I've done it for Charlie Bronson once.
But I've got all this shit in the world saying that I was a nonce enabler, and I'm going to go punch the man in the face. So why do I need to talk shit about him?
Just out of curiosity, Jack, what were your tactics going to be if we had a fight? How you doing? You right, Jack? You right, Arthur? I was on the phone with Ricky Grover. I had to say to him, I've got a live coming up.
He's a funny man, Ricky.
He's brilliant, mate. He's brilliant.
How are you, Matt?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I've just got in from trained a couple of boxers this morning. Done a bit of training myself. I'm back on the weights now, but feeling good. Done 2 cold showers.
Oh, fucking hell.
Okay.
Yeah. How you two doing?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Good.
Yeah. So you do cold water treatment then?
Yeah, I've been doing it since January last year. I was doing cold baths, but I do showers as well. It helps. It helps you sleep, helps you any anxieties or mental health, depression. It really gives you a boost, energy boost. It's better than having a coffee in the morning.
So have you tried that, Jack? Have you tried that, Jack?
I did it once, and I think I lasted about 20 seconds, and I got out. So I can't do this.
Yeah, you've got to get used to it. You've got to do deep breathing with it, but it's worth doing.
Yeah,
I haven't had trouble with a cold dip after the sauna. You know, when you jump in, it's like, oh god.
Yeah,
but,
I love that.
Anyway, chaps, thank you very, very much for joining me. You were born in a very small village, yeah?
Yep, I was born in a tiny little village called Drayton, which is in Northampton, a few miles north of Northampton, near Leicestershire. But it didn't even have a village shop. It was just a church and probably 100 houses, maybe less. Really peaceful, really nice.
And you were there, and then you moved to Milton Keynes when you were a teenager?
Moved to Bedford first when I was 6 to a pub for 2 years. That was quite rough in that area. I got bullied a bit at the school. And then I moved to Milton Keynes when I was 8. So I lived in Milton Keynes from 1984.
Okay, so do you think if you'd stayed in that village, you'd have had 3 ABHs by the age of 15 years old?
I would have been a farmer probably because, my dad, there were not enough people there to fight. But my dad was a farmer and my mum worked in the pub. So I would have been something to do with agricultural work or something like that. I don't think I would have probably I may have got into fights, who knows?
Jack.
Born and bred in Chatham. Yep.
You've been there your whole life?
Whole life. Well, I live in Gravesend now, but yeah, grew up in Chatham.
So always in Kent?
Always in Kent, yeah.
Because I had a friend in Amsterdam and he kept talking about the Chatham Pocket. Do you know what that is? Chatham Pocket. It's urban slang for anus. Because apparently...
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Apparently people smuggle...
I don't really hear that brought up anymore. I think that one's died out.
It's a bit old, isn't it? For smuggling things into prison and all the rest of it. So the first bare knuckle fight you ever saw, that was your old man that took you to see that, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Yeah, I must have been I think I was about 12 years old. And it was literally just down the road from my house, on a field down the road from my house. And I still know that I'm still friends with the 2 guys that had the fight to this day. I'm not too sure what the issue was between them both, but one of them was actually a former amateur and professional boxer, and the other one was just a well-known street fighter. And yeah, it was a really good fight to watch. That's what kind of got me a little bit hooked.
That's what I thought. So you got the bug from that. So how old were you when you saw that fight?
I was about 11 or 12.
But the other thing that intrigues me is that your father, he takes you to your first bare knuckle fight, but he's actually not that keen on you fighting, is he?
Yeah, my dad hates it. He hates seeing me get punched. He took me to my first boxing class when I was young. I must have been about 8 or 9 years old when I first started boxing. He took me to that, and then he just sort of let me go off by myself. He didn't want to force me into it. He didn't really. He encouraged me. He always said he was proud of me and stuff like that, but he never really wanted to see it. He's been to a few of my gloved boxing matches, but he's never been to any of my bare knuckles.
So what about you, Matt? So when did you actually start? I think you started quite late with boxing, didn't you? I mean, it was coming out of Wood. It was in Wood Hill, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Wood Hill Prison, 1994. But I'd already been fighting on the street for about 5 years, since I was 13, really. And because I was big, I was 6'2" at 13, and I'd always get people having a go at me, like mainly little gangs. It was no one had a one-on-one straight, and very few people. And especially when I got a reputation as a fighter, it would never be one-on-one. It would always be a little firm with weapons or whatever. But I was about 13. I had my first fight with someone offered me for a fight, and I went and had a fight with him, and I beat him. He put a load of stuff on his rings. He had these rings on, and he put these Jubilee clips, that you get on hose pipes.
He
put them on, and he cut me. But I beat him in the fight, and we became friends after that. And then a few more people challenged me, and started fighting then, and then started the weight training. So I was getting bigger and bigger. By the time I got to 18 years old, I was about 18 and a half stone, but of muscle, and that's big for a youngster. And
that's huge, yeah.
Yeah, and I had the attitude of I wanted to then be. I didn't want people starting on me, so I wanted to have a reputation for being able to handle myself. So I got into quite a lot of fights with doormen, different people on the street, and police.
But I mean,
a lot of police fights I had.
Because I mean, both of you strike me as people who have been brought up with principles. With you both seem to very honest, hardworking, respectful, and I know in the fights that I've had, it's always been jumping in, trying to help other people. I usually I don't get into much trouble, but when I do, it's I just don't like bullies. I think the same as you. And you're both big lamps as well. And people, when they see a big guy, they want to have a go, don't they?
Yeah.
So do you get a lot of trouble still in Chatham? Do you swerve Chatham now that you're a family man? Or
the thing is, I've always swerved trouble, to be honest with you, even in my teenage years. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a lot more fights in my teenage years than what I've had as an adult. But it was over pathetic things. It was normally at house parties and stuff like that. It was never anything on a serious nature. Do you know what I mean? But as I got older, I just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I did it enough in boxing and stuff like that. I felt like I never really fell out with anyone to the point where I always had to sort of watch my back or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I've always just kept myself to myself. If someone brings trouble to me, and then I'll deal with it. But I'm one of them where I don't like talking. I tell you what, arguing makes me more nervous than a fight itself. Because I have a stutter. I stutter a lot. As soon as I start getting angry, I start stuttering. So I've sort of got to a point now where you get two sides of me. You get the lovely side, or you get the side that if you've pissed me off enough, there ain't going to be any arguing. I'm just going to start punching. But I don't want to get to that stage, because it's like it's kind of, someone can rub me the wrong way over a period of time and not realise they're doing it because I don't say anything, and then all of a sudden they'll just step on my shoe by accident, and I'll and just start fucking digging away. And this, so now I just try to, if someone starts to annoy me or I don't like them around me, I'll just stay away from them. Because I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to get myself in trouble. I've not got a criminal record. I've kept myself clean over the years. Well, try to, but do you know what I mean? It's just, so
you're a doer, not a talker. I'm not one of them people that will go back and forwards with an argument or pushing and shoving. I will be either quiet as a mouse or I will fight.
Exactly.
I won't sort of do this back and forth. You see people outside the pub pushing each other like, come on then, you come on then. And they're back. I would never be that. I would either fight or I'm not going to get involved.
See, that's why I love arranged fights, because when you turn up, you know that you're fighting. You know that the fight's going to happen. It ain't going to be that, what if it says this? Have I got to do this? You know I'm fighting. That's all I care about now. Me and you are going to have a fight, and then it's going to be dealt with. But all that talking back and forth, who's got the fucking scariest voice? All that, fuck all that. I don't care about that.
It's all Billy Big Balls type of stuff, isn't it? So you've never worked on any doors then, Jack?
Oh yeah, I've done.
Oh, you have, You never had trouble. You never had trouble.
Yeah. I've had trouble. I've had trouble on doors. I've seen people get stabbed. I worked. I started doing the doors as soon as I turned 18. And to be fair, my old man was a doorman as well. When he said to me, "Look, Jack, this is a shit industry. You ain't gonna want to. You are not gonna enjoy it." I was like, "Yeah, whatever." Listen to all of his stories growing up. I thought it'd be a cool job. And within the first year or so, I realised what he was talking about. And as an 18-year-old, I was quite a baby-faced fella anyway. So I got people trying to take the piss out of me a lot. So I found myself sort of getting involved in a lot more shit than what you normally would have to. But I've done doors at the Troxy in London, in East London, and I've seen some horrific things. Knives get pulled like fucking over someone staring at someone, and it's like it just ain't worth it. And the money you get paid is absolutely terrible.
No, it's a dangerous game. So Matt, you've worked on the doors, haven't you, a little bit?
I didn't do a lot of that. I've done a bit once with Norman Buckland when I was younger, and I've done a bit the other day with Norman actually a couple of months back. But I wanted to be in the club drinking rather than being on the door. Yeah. And I went to prison for fighting with Dorman that threw my mate down the stairs. They threw him down. Well, they were trying to throw him down the stairs. I've attacked them, and then got in trouble for that, and the police came and I had a fight. But when I got out of prison, I went straight up the nightclub, and the doorman just let me in. Ever since then, they let me in without a problem. So I used to go in, but I got on with them all. We never fell out again, but they respected what I'd done. And I went to the prison for it, and it was a lot of things I went to prison for. It was the police.
So that's where you met Storming Norman Buckland, wasn't it, in Wood Hill?
Yeah, I knew him anyway, because I knew him from about 13, 14 years old, because I used to train in the gym at 13, and Norman was in there training. People used to say to me, that's Norman Buckland over there. He's one of the hardest men in England. And they used to talk about Lenny McLean and all that, and I used to think, who's Lenny McLean? That's when I first heard of Lenny. I was about 14. But Norman was always training, and I love Norman's attitude. He was a fun, friendly, not a bully. He would help anyone out. I like that attitude.
He's a real character, isn't he? I can't believe he's still working doors. How old is he now?
He's 60. I think he's 61 now, but he's been on the door since he was actually 10. His dad used to take him when he was 10 years old onto a door, and he was actually running in charge of a little door in this little club when he was about 12 or 13. He's never stopped. He's done a consistent, almost 50 years.
But he got you into boxing in the first place, didn't he?
Yeah, he got me into boxing. When I went into the prison, the young offenders, he said to me, rather than putting all this strength and energy into fighting on the street and fighting with police and doormen, he said, put it into boxing. And I just wanted to be a street fighter then. And he said, put it into boxing. He said, everyone loves boxers and you'll do well, you'll earn money. And then we just started to spar. We started sparring with like a pair of socks around our knuckles in the shower area. So it was me versus Norman in a fight. No pad work, nothing. Just literally like sparring. That was my first ever bit of boxing, sparring in the prison. Nice. Yeah. So
Jack, also you're a stand-up fighter. I mean, your boxing IQ is higher. I mean, were you not tempted to go the boxing route? Why did you? Why are you so focused on bare knuckle?
So. I started. The thing was, I didn't take boxing seriously. I did it on and off as a kid. I didn't actually start taking boxing. I didn't have my first boxing fight until I was 17, and I went straight into the unlicensed. And I was doing all right in the unlicensed scene, to be fair. I mean, even then, I wasn't really taking it as seriously as you're supposed to. Do you know what I mean? I was just getting by with my talent, really. And then when I decided to take it seriously, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a crack at the amateurs. I went and I had 4 amateur fights at the age of, I think, around about 20 or 21. And I won 2, lost 2. And my last fight I had, I lost. And I flew over to Guernsey and fought a lad over there. We got bout of the season. It was a really good fight. But I experienced my first robbery in the amateurs. And I was just like, I believe I absolutely smashed the fight, do you know what I mean? And and they gave it a unanimous decision to him. And I thought, I've just put hard work into the gym. I'm going to work every day. I was an odd carrier at the time, so I was going to work every day, going gym, going running on my lunch break for them to rob me of a win. And then I was like, you know what, fuck this. I didn't like it. I hated it. And then the bare knuckle thing come around. I was kind of following it closely anyway at the time. And then my missus fell pregnant with my little boy, and I was like, right, I need a bit of extra money now. So yeah, I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'll give it a go, and
it's hard. But when you're working full time, I think Matt, you had physical jobs as well, but the amateurs, I think, what was it? You had 15 wins, 2 losses, and they were both to the same guy, wasn't it? And there was a close run.
I don't know what it is. I didn't take it seriously, and I just used to go out, have a couple of fights in a year, win them both, go drinking, not do boxing again because I was doing other sorts of crime and different things. And then I only took it seriously for 1 year with Ricky English. Him and Joey Pyle used to do the governor shows, but Ricky was my trainer. And I think I had 10 amateur fights in that 1 year, all championship fights. So I did the novices, and I knocked everyone out in the novices and won the England novices. Then I went straight into the proper ABAs with the senior ones, and I got all the way to the final. And the geezer I got to the final with was the #1 in England. He'd beaten me before by 2 points, and I thought I'm going to get him this time because I'm a lot better.
Is that Matthew Grainger, you mean?
Yeah, Matthew Grainger.
Yeah.
And I thought I'm going to get him, and I gave him a standing count, but he was a good fighter, and he outworked me. He was a southpaw. He was skillful, and he won, I think, 8 points to 7. It was, and but then I still turned pro. I turned pro straight after that, and so the only loss I had was to the #1 in the country. Which I was
so did you have any unlicensed fights like Jack, or did you go straight into the
No, because when I went pro in 2001, I did the pro, and in between when I packed it in for 6 years, I was going to do the governor fight. You know, the governor fight, because Ricky English was my old trainer, and he said, "Why don't you fight Sven Hamer for the governor title?" And I thought, I might as well. I wasn't too interested in the title itself because in the 70s and that, and the 80s with Lenny and all that, it was a good thing. But I wasn't too concerned about the title. But I just thought it would be good to fight on one of them unlicensed shows. But I got an injury and never did it. But luckily, I went pro again anyway. I went back pro again, and I got to fight AJ and James Toney. So
you I mean, because Frank Maloney was offering to manage you before he transitioned. What's his name now? I can't remember.
Kelly.
Kelly, that's it. Kelly Maloney, and Frank Warren as a promoter. I mean, these are big names in the game, aren't they? I mean,
yeah. That was my first promotional team. So my manager was Frank Maloney, who's now Kelly, and my promoter was Frank Warren. So when I turned pro, there's a photograph of me with Matthew Macklin, John McDermott, Matthew Marsh. Who else was there? There was loads of us in the same. We turned pro. Alex Arthur. So a lot of us turned pro. I didn't do as well as they did. A lot of them became world champions. But we all turned pro with Frank Maloney and Frank Warren back in 2001. Martin Power, Ross Minter, all in the same. We're all on the same staple.
So these names a bit before your time, Jack, or do you recognise some of these names that he's mentioning?
Yeah, I recognise a few of them. Yeah. And the thing is, as well, I followed professional boxing as a kid quite a lot. One of my dad's best mates was a world champion boxer, Johnny Armour, WBU, world bantamweight champion. So I did a lot of growing up around him. So I know a few of them names. Yeah.
Because your record right now, you're 4-0, aren't you? Is that correct?
What, in bare knuckle?
Well, you've had 4 fights. You've 50% KOs. You've had four fights. It's only the last one, isn't it?
No, I've had 6 fights now. 6 fights, and I've lost. I've won 4, drawn 1, lost 1.
Because that Robbie Kennedy, let's face it. I mean, what an awkward fighter. I mean, leading with his elbow.
Yeah.
And you know what I find quite interesting is that if you look at Matt's 2014 fight with AJ and your fight with Robbie Kennedy, I had you both winning that. I thought the way Matt went out, similar. You know, he was. I don't know. I just felt that if it wasn't for that uppercut, I had you winning, both of you winning that fight, and it ended in a very similar way.
That Jack fought Robbie Kennedy. When Jack sent me the video and I watched him, I thought that's the sort of person I'd give a wide berth to, because he makes everyone look bad. He's very tall, he's very light, and he's fast on his feet. His head was going. 1 minute his head was down knee height, then his head was up tall. He had that elbow sticking out, and he was moving, coming in unorthodox angles. He's one of them people that just is frustrating to fight.
It's just an awkward style altogether. The MMA sort of influence going in, but did he have a longer reach than you, Jack?
Yeah, he had a lot longer reach. A lot longer reach.
That's crazy, because I see you like with this huge reach, and to think that he's got a longer reach. What was he? Is he what, 6'4", 6'5", something?
No, 6'6". I think it says 6'5", 6'6", I think he was, yeah.
How tall are you, Jack? 6'2"?
6'2", 6'3", yeah, so...
Yeah.
But you look a lot taller than 6'2", I gotta say.
You're the same height as me. I'm about 6'2".
Yeah, I've never actually had my height measured. I just know that I've stand next to people that have said they're like 6 foot or 6'1", and I'm like quite a bit taller than them. So I thought, I must be about 6'2", 6'3". I've never actually had myself measured, so I don't know.
So, I mean, both of you probably experienced, I mean, you've had no luck at all the last couple of years with matchups, with COVID and all the rest of it. You've had loads of fights that have fallen through. I mean, how do you prepare when I mean, especially now with the BKFC, they switched opponents on you, what, 2 or 3 times?
6 times.
6 times they switched opponents. I mean, how on earth do you prepare for something like that? You don't know, you can't study the form or anything,
I got to a point with my trainer and I just said, look, this is who they've thrown at us. Here's a video of him. I said, I've watched a little clip of it. I said, I don't give a fuck anymore. I said, I just want to fight. And the thing was, I needed to fight. I'd racked up a little bit of debt on a credit card that I needed to pay off because I wasn't working at the time. And I was like, look, I need to fight, so I don't care who it is that's in front of me now. I just took the fight. And I don't get me wrong, I still thought I could beat him, which I do think I was beating him. But like you said, it's caught me with that shot. But
the mentality is you go into every fight believing you can win it. Otherwise there's no point in stepping in there, is there?
Exactly.
I mean, one thing that does intrigue me, obviously a family man, I'm just wondering, in your position, it is a dangerous game. And I think that, with young children and stuff, I mean, I know they admire you for what you do and all the rest of it, but I suppose that doesn't really cross your mind. It's like going to war, isn't it? I mean, you just...
Yeah, we just do what we do, mate, to be fair. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have sat there with the missus. I mean, we watched that film, The Journeyman, with Paddy Constantine. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a really good film. The guy's a professional boxer and he wins a world title, but goes home and has he has like a brain aneurysm. And it makes him all a bit fucked up. And the missus went to me, she said, what if that ever happens to you? I said, you've got a big job on your hands because you've got to look after me. So, do you know what I mean? I know you shouldn't joke about things like that, but you can't, as a fighter, you can't think about it.
Yeah, you've got one life. I mean, I think I've mentioned it in the comments to you where, it's like I've done things that, maybe in hindsight were not the best things to do, but you think you've got one life and you think that you want to be a happy bunny and you don't want to spend the rest of your life going coulda, woulda, shoulda, maybe if I'd done it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Formula One drivers, MotoGP, people that do things like that. I mean, every time they finish a race, they're cheating death, really, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's the same thing with us. So,
but I mean, just driving to the supermarket, you're taking your chances, aren't you?
So, yeah, exactly.
Matt, can I just get back on your pro debut? That was with Johnny versus Johnny Nelson.
No, it was on the undercard.
Oh, it was on the undercard. Yeah, Julius Francis undercard.
It was the Danny Williams Julius Francis rematch. So it was a big show, and it was Wembley Conference Centre. So my first pro fight was Wembley Conference. My last one was at Wembley Stadium, and I had 9 and I had 8 in between.
So what's going through your mind, like when you in 2014 when you stepped out there and it's the Georgie Groves Froch undercard? What's going through your mind when you're walking in there?
That was more daunting, that one, because I don't really have a great deal of nerves in my boxing matches, but against AJ, because of the power of him and the boxing ability and the speed and he's just a beast. He knocked everybody out in the first 1 or 2 rounds when I fought him. And if you look at me next to him, he towers above me, and I'm 6'2". And he's just phenomenal. He was 24, I was 38, but I still thought in my head, he's never had anyone do what I'm going to do to him. He knows me. He knows what I'm like. So he knew that I was going to come at him like that because he used to support me when he was a youngster in Watford. So he's even told me at Wembley, he said, I've always watched you, Matt, when I was younger. And so he knew I was going to fly out, and I flew out nice and low, underneath all the shots. Every time he threw a jab, he never caught me with a jab. I was underneath, and the plan was. I thought
it was like a Tyson style you had, and I thought that was probably the most effective. If you're a shorter man, that's the most effective way to go in on them.
That's exactly it. When you've got someone tall like that, because it's worked in all my other fights. I've fought many 6'5", 6'6" people, and I've had a lot of success with them. because I get low and I hit him to the body. I hit him with short shots on the inside, and I make myself a small target. But against him, he's Olympic champion. He was too good a boxer. I missed him by a little whisker with a left hook. But the reason I missed him is because he was that good that he leant back just enough. So it wasn't like it was an accidental miss. He timed it and moved back. He's that good.
That was his sixth fight or something, wasn't it?
That was his sixth fight, and he knocked everyone out. And he knocked everyone out even after me. He's took out people like Kevin Johnson, who'd never been knocked out. Kevin Johnson had done 12 rounds with Klitschko, Fury, Chisora. AJ knocked him out the ropes in the first round and then took him out in the second. He's got amazing punch power. And I've been in the ring with a lot of people, all the British champions, European, but none of them hit anything like that.
But you've sparred with Chisora and Tyson Fury, haven't you?
Yeah. I've done four or five times with Chisora. I pushed Chisora back, and he fell on the floor in the first round in one of them, and he went home. And I sparred. I sparred with Tyson Fury, but I couldn't do anything with Fury. He was too good. Matt Skelton, Danny Williams, Roman Greenberg. If you don't know if you remember Roman Greenberg, Michael Sprott, Wayne Llewellyn, everyone, Julius Francis, Mark Potter. You name it, going back 20, 25 years.
Been in with all of them.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of sparring, you two were talking about sparring, but I think you've got an injury, haven't you, Matt?
No, I'm feeling a bit better now.
Yeah?
Well, we were going to fight it initially, weren't we? I was looking, and when we were going to fight, I actually I got so motivated because it was obviously fighting Jack, and it was a big challenge. I started it in the bag. I started getting ready, doing my stair runs, and it gave me a real focus. I was off the drink and everything, eating healthy. Obviously, because of the contract, we couldn't do it, and I sort of fell off. I was suffering from knee injuries and a few little niggles here in my back and all that. But I would have gone through with the fight. But it's just the training. I was aching a lot from little bits, little tiny bits of training was aching me. I'm 47, so coming up to 47. We're still going to spar, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're a similar vintage. I think you had a bit of a wobble in January. I'm the same. You're a kind of all or nothing guy. I've had it also in the past where, if my head's not in the right place, then I'm not motivated. And when I'm on something, I do it as well as I can. But I think everybody was looking forward to that fight. And because I did that little fight edit that I remember I showed you on Instagram.
Yeah, it would have been a good fight. I would have looking forward to it because Jack's a good boxer, fast hands, powerful, good chin as well. And I was watching I've been watching all Jack's fights anyway. Before that, I was thinking he's going to be one of the top ones in the bare knuckle. Still think you are, Jack.
Just don't throw an uppercut.
Yeah, you'll learn from that though. I mean, the way I look at it, with a loss, I always said to myself, better fighters than me are lost, so I've got nothing to worry about. I never really worry too much. Once you've had a loss, it takes the pressure off a bit as well.
That was the first time I've ever been put on my ass as well. Like, I've never been put on my ass in sparring, any boxing fights, any bare knuckle, and it's the first time experiencing that. And I always wondered how I'd feel about it. Yeah. To be, don't get me wrong, I was gutted, obviously, but the way I've sprung back from it, I've amazed myself really because I'm just focused on getting on ready for the next one now.
You learn a lot more from a loss than you do a win.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think you handled it really well. I know you've got a lot of arseholes, trolls and whatever giving you a hard time. But, who are they at the end of the day?
Exactly.
They wouldn't even get past the stare down at the beginning. And most fighters respect other fighters for getting in and having a go because they know how tough it is. It's only the people that haven't got a clue that will be disrespectful.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
I get people slagging me off for my fight with AJ, and I'm thinking, you know what I mean? I steamed into one of the most dangerous heavyweights that we've ever had.
Yeah, exactly.
38 years old. So how can these people sit at home and disrespect other fighters? But I just ignore them now.
Yeah, it's strange this crossover in this. It's a really toxic corner of YouTube, and there's a lot of faceless arseholes, a lot of nasty people, but real recognize real. And I think that both your channels are both filled with positivity. They're both filled with, they're very motivational, respectful, grown-up channels. There's none of this stupid, I mean, I get into silly, I do silly videos on deccaheggie and all the rest of it, but I'm trying to build a channel at the moment.
Yeah, I like your channel. I've always liked yours from the beginning when I saw your channel off, and that's why I was happy to have been included in your video when you done a video about me, because me and my Katie love watching it, because you've got the way you do it. It's banter, it's light-hearted, it's nothing too insulting or too, you know what I mean? It's nice and fun.
No, exactly. No, that's the idea. I mean, at the end of the day, I only came onto this corner of YouTube because I was interested in fighting, and then there's this whole crossover of weird kind of roasting channels, and everybody's calling everybody a bacon and all the rest of it, and it's just tedious. So just going back, because you've got an injury there at the moment, Jack, and Matt. After the AJ fight, you had you had a fractured eye socket or something, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a broken eye socket, because I was actually lined up for a title fight for the Southern Area heavyweight title about a month after, but because I had a broken eye socket, they put you out for over a month, and effectively, because I wanted to carry on boxing, that wasn't going to be my last fight. I loved it, and I thought anyone else after AJ is going to seem easy. But that was it, broken eye socket, and it put me out for a few months, and I got a job in Liverpool.
So you were out for a few years after that, weren't you?
That was
basically,
yeah.
And that's when you got with the Milton Keynes firm, and went to Amsterdam.
No, that was before. That was before.
Oh, that was before.
That was that was when I was in my late teens. That was when all that happened.
Because where, if you don't mind me asking, whereabouts were you living in Amsterdam?
I can't remember the name of the place now, but it weren't far from the town centre. It was walking distance from the main town. So I used to go. Remember the Bulldog? You've been there, haven't you?
I lived there 15 years.
Yeah. Do you remember there was a load of jacket potato shops? It was by the Grasshopper. We used to have.
Bar,
and you got the Bulldog bar. Do you remember the Bulldog bar?
Yeah. No, I know it well. I know it well. While we're on the subject of Amsterdam, because obviously I was there. I was in the red light district for 10 years working, not in the windows. Because my story will come out. I was a bit of a naughty boy. I was into I was in the drug trade. I was in the sex trade. I was all that kind of thing. But one overlying factor of that was the HA Hells Angels were a big force in Amsterdam. And I noticed that, Jack, you have Support 81 on your shorts, and there was one fight where you had a full patch HA that actually was walking out with a belt. Are you a biker, or what's your connection?
Yeah, so the Hells Angels in Kent, they sponsor me. So I mean, I became a supporter a few years ago, because the biking side of things comes from my granddad. He was a biker, and I've always loved Harleys growing up and all that sort of stuff. But the guy who walked me out, his name's Smudge. He's a big face in the Hells Angels in especially in England. And he actually went to school with my dad. He was really good friends with my dad, but they hadn't seen each other in years. And as a supporter, one of the things obviously you do, obviously you support the club, and any members that are in prison or anything like that, you write to them, send them whatever they want or whatever they need, or money or this and the other. And Smudge was actually in jail at the time, and I remember writing to him, and I told him who I was and what I was about and this and the other. And he went, "Is your dad Jack Draper?" Yeah, he went, "Fucking hell, he went to school with your dad. He's been there since." But and then straight away, like an instant connection came there. And he'd say, "We're really, really good friends." And I mean, I've got my motorbike license. I passed it last year, but I haven't actually had the money to get a bike yet. So,
but it's a brotherhood. I'm in a bike club. So I ride with some guys, and they're the type of guys that you ring them at 3 o'clock in the morning. They're there. You need them. They're
definitely.
there. And that brotherhood. Yeah,
they are. They're a good bunch of blokes, to be fair.
So I just wanted to ask you about that, because I noticed you wear that in most of in all your fights that I've seen. You've got Support 81. Yes. So Matt, I'm intrigued to ask you about the debt collecting, but then it's up to you if you want to talk about it, because it sounds to me like you're one of the nicest debt collectors.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I've never really had any trouble. I used to just hope that the person knew me. If it was local, I'd knock on the door. I do it on my own a lot of my debt jobs, and if they knew me, I'd just say, "Look, you owe this money, and how quickly can you pay it?" That's what I would try and do. Very rarely did it ever get into trouble. The last few the police got called. I've done a couple when the police were called. And all I'd done was knocked on the door and say, look, you owe so and they owed the money. These people owed. They weren't. A lot of people get it misconstrued. They think we're collecting for people's TV licenses and stuff like that. I'm doing criminal debts from criminals that have robbed someone, or I mean, I've done a debt job once. 3 lads went in with machetes and robbed someone who was doing a grow, and they robbed all his stuff. I caught the 3 lads and said, right, you not only do you owe the money, but the police have been called. You've wrecked the business. So I've done jobs like that. I've done another job on free as a cage fighter, and they were doing little robberies in shops and bookies, and they robbed my mate's safe in his house. They stayed and they took about 10 grand, and I caught them and I said, listen, what money have you got? And they didn't have any cash. I took their cars, but they robbed someone's money out of his safe. So I look at them debt jobs as I'm doing the right thing for someone who's been robbed. I wouldn't go around a family's house and take their TV because they haven't paid their bill. You know what I mean? I think people think that's
do you think your reputation preceded you? I mean, like if you turned up on my doorstep, I'd go, oh shit, it's Matt Legg. There's the money. Here's the money.
Some of them it did, with them cage fighters and the robbers it did, and other people it did, because they knew me from what I was doing years and years ago. When I was, what's the word, on the other side of the law, I was still fair, and I'm not a bully, but if someone was in the wrong, I would deal with it, and I was quick to, if someone was starting or wanted to have a fight, I would be quick to fight them and stuff like that. So I did have a reputation for being for quite, I'd be able to use violence if I had to, and didn't really, but from a young age, from a very young age. So that's why boxing didn't really hold much fear to me when I was 18, because I'd already seen a lot of like weapons in fights and injuries, and it's like boxing to me was like one man with gloves on with a ref. That to me was a safer option than what I've been doing.
Organised violence, violence.
And it still is like a safe. It's a sport. It's not. It doesn't worry me because. So Jack, speaking of that type of thing, have you never been drawn in, or people trying to get you into that side of life? You know, I mean, you say you've got no criminal record and all the rest of it, but because of your stature and your abilities, you can imagine that the criminal fraternity would be keen to have somebody like you on board. So have you ever had any pressure?
Yeah, I get asked to do things all the time. I do get asked to do things all the time, and the truth of the matter is, I'm not cut out to be a criminal. I'm not. No. Like, you ask me to sell drugs and you ask me what a fucking ounce is or whatever, I couldn't tell you because I haven't got a clue. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Best way, Jack. It's the best way to be, mate.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, we're talking about debt collecting. I got asked to collect some debts literally about 2 weeks ago. I've still got the message on my phone. I've not even looked at it. I've seen what it said and I just ignored it. And this bloke was asking me, but he said, it's in Bermondsey somewhere or something. He said there's some chip shops that they own that are struggling or they're slow on paying. And I was just like, mate, you're asking me to go take money off someone who's trying to earn from a legitimate business. Are you fucking mad? Like,
yeah. I mean, you're on the up and up, so you've got too much to lose. You don't want to get involved in all. I mean, when I was in that life, I got told by a successful criminal that I would never be a successful criminal because I was too nice.
Yeah. But the thing is, as well, don't get me wrong. The money side of things, obviously, I mean, like, I've got a family to feed. Do you know what I mean? And there has been times where I've had to do a little bit of some. I've been asked to beat a couple of people up for money, and I've agreed to it, but it's never actually happened. Well, a couple of times anyway. But things like that, I have a conscience, and in my eyes, I'm looking at it like what Matt said. If you're going to a debt collect someone that's robbed someone, they took something off someone, then they deserve everything they get. Karma serves its own justice there. But if you're trying to take money off an innocent family or an innocent person who's set up a business, he's trying to earn, and you're taking money off him or fucking racketeering, whatever it's called.
You've got to justify it. You have to justify what you're doing.
Exactly. And for me, things like that.
Yeah. No. I'll tell you this job. I got a job once, a debt collecting job off a very well-known criminal. Everyone knows him. You'd all know him. I won't say who it was. he rang me. He said, "I've got a debt job. It's near where you live." I goes, "What is it?" He goes, "The bloke." They used to be in a band together. The band broke up, and the bloke's now got a guitar that he kept. It's worth a lot of money. I turned up at this house, done it as a favour, and I thought, I don't like the sound of this. Turned up, and it was an old couple, and probably in his 50s or 60s. And I went, "Hello, mate, how you doing? I've come round because you got the guitar that belongs to so-and-so." He went, No. He goes, "We were in a band together, and this is how it ended. And I gave him some money for the studio, and it wasn't like, and I could not bring myself to say, no, come on, give us the guitar." I just walked away. I rung my mate up. I went, "Mate, next time, give me a better job than that. Give me a couple of or someone."
I think that's the thing, isn't it? When you've got morals and principles, that there's a limit to where you will go in all that, you know.
Yeah, I would never do it in front of kids in the house, or I wouldn't. I just don't, like you said. You got consciences and moral compasses, and I don't want to go around throwing my weight around, especially no violence. Ideally, don't get me wrong. I've done jobs where I've knocked on the pub door, and I said hello, and I knew the geezer, and I said, "Hello, mate. You owe." I've done it for Charlie Bronson once. I said, "You owe so and so." I think this one was about 20 odd grand, and he just paid the money because he owed it and he knew. And I've done one for Charlie Bronson, the same geezer. I knocked on the same bloke's house twice, and they're easy ones because he knew me, I knew him, and he just gave the money that he owed. A lot of them would go like that. I try and avoid them now because of the amount of police that got called in the end.
And the thing is with me as well, I'm like, I don't, like I said, my home is my safe haven. Do you know what I mean? I don't want my kids seeing anything like that. And I don't, like I said, karma will come around and kick you in the ass at some point. And I feel like if you're going out of your way to beat people up, take things off people, sell drugs, this and that, you're asking for someone to turn up at your house where your kids are. And I can't live that lifestyle knowing that I'm a parent and I've got kids to feed. And you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, like I said, the money would be nice, and if a right kind of thing comes up one day, who knows? But I just don't want trouble around my kids. You know what I mean?
Treat people how you want to be treated. That's what I believe.
And also with a young family, your freedom is paramount. You know, you can't afford to lose your freedom for a few quid. You know that you've got to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's interesting you mentioned Charlie Bronson, Matt, because it's a nice segue into me asking you how you think this is going to go with the parole hearing. Is there any news on that? Because you spoke to his brother.
I found out. I looked on the news today, and he found out he hasn't got it. He lost it. So he lost it again. So he's 50 years old. He's done. He's 70 years old, and he's done 50 years in prison. And I've got his brother on tonight at 8 o'clock on a live.
Yeah,
because I feel for his mum Ira, because I get on very well with his mum Ira. I get on well with all the family, and I used to get on well with Charlie up until we had a bit of a fallout. And when Charlie falls out with you, he'll just cut you off. You can be friends with him for years, but if something don't like, he'll cut you off, and that's it. But we fell out. He put me in I'm in a few of his books and good write-ups in his books and pictures. But I want him to get out. He's not a danger to your everyday man and woman. He would only be the same as all of us. If someone's going to harass him or cause him to be angry, same as any of us, then he's likely to. But I don't know how we'll handle it. Well, he's not going to get it now because he's been denied. But
if he were to get out, he'd be going on all the podcasts. He'd be making a fortune. He'd be going on TV and all the rest of it. You know?
Yeah. He would be. He'd be like a celebrity. Well, he's a celebrity.
But he'd probably be on your channel straight away, wouldn't he? He'd be one of the first that he'd talk to, wouldn't he?
I don't know whether we would now because we haven't spoken for a while. He would definitely be on Steve Rafe's and a few others. I'd love to have him on if he would. We used to get on really well, me and Charlie. He used to ring me up quite a lot and wanted me to go and visit him. And like I said, he put me in 3 of his books. And he wanted me to train him for a fight if he got out. He was going to fight a fella, Rich Horsley, actually, who I speak to. And he said, "Can you train me up for this?" And we got on really well.
What it was was it a post office robbery or something that he initially went down for?
He got 8 years in 1974,
and he's been in for 50 years.
50 years. I know he's took the hostages and all that, and he's done other stuff. But the last 10 or 12 years, he's been behaving.
Thing is, people have done a lot worse than that, though, haven't they? And they're out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You got people that kill kids and stuff like that, and they're out.
Now, look at the fucking John Venables.
Yeah.
He's out, and then he went back to prison for child pornography, and he'll probably be out in a fucking few years' time as well.
Yeah,
it's mad.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, that's a bit depressing, isn't it? Anyway, you know, I hope he does see the light of day before he passes. I really do. But
and
you know,
Mum Ira's 93, and she's lovely, and bless her, she's had to see him in there for 50 years.
So if I change the subject completely, and I'm going to ask Jack about the deccaheggie supposedly fight that was going to happen last year.
Yeah.
Did you honestly think that he would go through with it? That he would fight?
Yeah, I did. And the reason why I say that is because I know there's a lot of shit floating around Decca, but I've never known him to not be involved in fights. Do you know what I mean? All the things you hear about him, I've never heard him not turn up for a fight. I mean, I know there's a thing about the Julius Francis thing that's all come out into the light and this, that, and the other, but when it comes to bare knuckle,
I was a corner man. I was a corner man
yeah,
for that fight.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Joey Piles come out and said what clearly went on in that fight and this, that, and the other, but I've never known him to not have a bare knuckle fight, so I didn't see why he wouldn't want to fight me.
For me, the man in the build up, in the weeks prior to your fight supposedly going ahead, he gets Botox and he starts getting his teeth done. And I thought that for me that was a red flag. I just thought, now who on earth is going to go eat Jack Draper's jabs after getting new teeth?
I think you said that, didn't you? You're going to knock his teeth out. I saw. A
video.
Yeah,
I did say that. Yeah, I said there's no point getting any new teeth. I'm going to knock them straight back out. But like I said though, I mean, I was so wrapped up in that. I wanted that fight for my own reasons, and I needed money. It all comes down to money at the end of the day. I needed money so bad. I mean, if it weren't for the sponsors that I managed to pull in for that fight, my kids wouldn't have had a Christmas. So, do you know what I mean? That's how bad it was getting for me. I mean, I don't talk about it because I don't want everyone fucking feeling sorry for us. But yeah, so I needed that fight badly to happen. And but from the moment that fight was announced, I was fighting trolls and fucking about it. And I'm just like, look, I'm having a bare knuckle fight against him. Just shut up. And you know what the thing is? Mick Terrell's fighting Decca now, yeah? And Mick Terrell's not getting the stick that I got. All because Decca's not earning any money out of it. Well, no, I think he's earning money out of it. But for some reason, he's not getting anything by it. But I got all this shit in the world saying that I was a nonce enabler and this, that, and the other. And it's all because I didn't give deccaheggie shit. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But if you know me, I don't do that. I'm going to go punch the man in the face. So why do I need to talk shit about him?
You just let your fist do the talking, don't you, really?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, even that, like, I don't have a problem with Decca. I really don't. And I don't have a problem with anyone, though. This is the thing that people find it really hard. I don't want a problem with no one.
So, what do you think about the whole no rules thing? Because I mean, you enjoy that, Jack. I mean, Matt, what's your opinion on the? Because for me, the whole headbutting and all the rest of it, it's not cricket, you know. I don't know.
Well, I'd find that's fine because I've done that myself. I've had more street fights than boxing matches by far. I've probably had 4 times as many street fights. So that sort of stuff I don't mind. But I watched that Bash. You know Bash, don't you, Jack?
Yeah, I know
that fight where he picked the geezers. There's ones when you're allowed to bite and poke eyes. That sort of thing, when you're going to disfigure someone for life, that I'd probably draw the line at, especially like eyes getting poked out. And
is that the guy that was on the Atwood podcast recently?
Yeah. You can watch that fight on YouTube where he bites the ear off.
He said he had it stuck in his throat or something.
Yeah, he picks it up at the end and puts it back in his mouth for a chuckle. But I mean, I'm surprised they get monetized. Actually, those videos. I don't know how it works because I got told that certain things they won't monetize on YouTube, especially that. But
I'm not sure. I don't know how that works.
How does it work with? I mean, you know, if somebody on Decca's watch with this new project, if somebody gets seriously hurt, maimed, in a coma, whatever, you can't get any public liability insurance for anything like that. Are they signing a disclaimer? How does it work?
I don't know. I don't know that side of things. I know he did say that he had a medical personnel on there for his last one. So, I mean, I don't know, mate. I really
I
don't
mean,
know.
he did take it on board, didn't he? I think because all three of us expressed concern about the scrapyard thing, because that was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
people
banging their
bouncing
heads
off
on bits of
cars.
metal, and one of them got his back. I don't know if he cut his back open or whatever on that metal.
Yeah.
But the next thing he done it in hay bales. But
I mean, I like the look of the scrapyard. I mean, it's grungy. It's like, visually it's a good thing. But I mean, there were so many things just lying around.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why me and Ricky Rover done it behind the churchyard.
Where he's done it now with the Harry Spencer and the hay bales, I think it's a much better setup. It's a much better setup.
Yeah, and it stops people running away. Like, because one of the fights, the guy was just running away, wasn't it? It was embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing now, especially nowadays when you get a lot of the straighteners and stuff. It's pretty much like 90% of it's dancing around without actually throwing a punch.
That's why I think them ones when they do it in a massive field and all that is no good, because someone just backs off. If I have a fight, bare knuckle or boxing, I will be going straight forward, head movement and attacking. I want to make it exciting and I want to win, and I won't be there to just back off and do that.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise it turns into river dance like Dougie, Joyce and Doherty, doesn't it? They just dance around each other.
If you watch a lot of the old school travellers doing when they fight, if you watch their boxing ability is not up to par with today's boxers and today's travellers. But if you watch their fights are a lot more violent, because they're not worried about dancing around and how slick they look. They just want to get in there and fight. Yeah. So the shots that they're throwing might not look the prettiest, but they're actually having a fight.
That's it. Yeah, they're not slipping. They're getting hit and hitting, and it's just
exactly. Yeah, it's about who looks better, who's got the better football, who's got the nicer trainers on, who's got the better body. Do you know what I mean? That's how it is now. That's how it's all about.
People like Bartley, Gorman. I'm friends with the Gorman family. I was with Jerry and Sam. Their dad is Bartley's brother. So I'm friends with the Gorman family. I'm going to do a video on Bartley soon, because he was a person that probably was the greatest bare knuckle fighter. And he could take so much pain. That was a different, very much like Norman. He could just go through the pain. He would never give in. Proper definition of a hard man, Bartley Gorman.
They're massive respect to
like Joe Joyce as well. All the old travellers.
Oh, Big Joe, James
Quinn Mcdonagh.
James Mcdonagh, he was a good fighter as well. Big Paul Joyce, who I thought a very good fighter. On the
he's a good one as well. Yeah, he's really good. But then if you look at young Joe Joyce as well, the one who's banged up in a minute, but if you watch him fight,
and Davey,
he gets stuck in, and Davey Joyce, they get stuck in. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference between the actually standing there and having a fight. And if you watch young Joe Joyce's fight against there's a Bigfoot, I can't remember his name. But if you watch his fight, them two.
I know what you mean.
It's raining, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
But if you watch their fight, they throw more punches at each other, and they're heavyweights.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of the lighter fighters that you see having straighteners. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. It's supposed to be having a fight. It ain't about fucking who looks the best. Do you know what I mean?
I sparred a lot of the travellers for their bare knuckle fights. I used to spar Big Paul Joyce when he was going to get ready to fight in that knuckle film. I sparred with Paul. I sparred with the McDonaghs when they were going to fight the Nevins, and I know the Bobby Frankham. I sparred with Bobby quite a bit, and I got on with all the travellers that I've been around over the years. Fought Paddy,
I sparred James Quinn Mcdonagh's nephew, Michael Mcdonagh, when he fought Paddy Collins. I went and done some rounds with him, and to be fair, I wasn't even fit. I just finished a night shift, and James rung me up. He said, "James, do you mind coming down and help my nephew out for a bit of sparring?" I said, "Oh, fuck it, go on then." I think they did 4 rounds with him, but that's all I could handle. But still, it was good to helping him out, though. It was a good fight they had.
But Matt, didn't you do some glove boxing with Paul Joyce?
Yeah, I fought Paul Joyce, Paul Joyce was a good amateur.
Because he's around, what is he, 6'5", is he, or something?
6'5", and I think he was about 24 stone or something. When I fought him, and he was unbeaten in boxing matches, and he was unbeaten in bare knuckle when I fought him. And I used to see him at the boxing shows. He always used to look over at me, knowing I was a challenge to him. So we'd have a little slight screw each other out. But I got a phone call, "Do you want to fight Big Paul Joyce in Oxford on his home show?" So I'd done a day's work on the building site, drove down to Oxford with a couple of supporters, and had a really good fight. It's on my YouTube channel, the fight. It's had about 180,000 views, and it was like it was all over me in the first round because he's so big and he's so quick.
He just leans on you.
He's so, and he come out so fast. I didn't know. I was thinking, what am I going to do? Because he was leaning on me, and I was getting. And then my corner said to me, don't let him push you down. Stand up and just fight. So I dug it. I always dig in anyway, and I always fight. And I just kept on fighting and outworked him in the end. I landed some good shots, but I was happy if I'd have got a draw. But like the referee gave it to me, and I got a win. Paul Joyce beat Matthew Grainger, the ABA champion. You know, the one that beat me.
Oh yeah.
Paul Joyce beat him. So he only lost 3 fights out of 30 as a boxer, and one was to me, one was to another fella, and then he beat the double ABA champion. Paul did. Shout out to the Joyces, by the way, Willie Joyce and Joyce Talks Boxing.
Absolutely. So do you guys prefer fighting bigger guys or smaller guys? I mean, it all depends on style, obviously, how awkward they are. But you know, like you mentioned, sparring with Tyson Fury. I mean, when you've got somebody who's 6'9", who's got fast hands, great feet, what's the game plan when you go against somebody like that?
Yeah. I'd always prefer bigger fighters apart from AJ and Tyson Fury. But normally the bigger ones, they're a bit slower, and there's more target. I look at them as a big target. So if I'm low, I'm a small target, and they're just body shots. I can hit them in the body. But people like Fury, who move so well, and his boxing IQ, I couldn't even set myself to throw shots because you got to set yourself, and then he's moved.
Yeah.
But I do prefer to fight the bigger ones. Don't know about you, Jack.
I mean, size-wise, I'm not really too bothered. But I'll tell you who I don't like sparring. I don't like sparring people that are not traditional boxers because do you know what? I've even sparred people that are really novice-y, but they're really wiry.
Yeah.
And you think like fucking
unorthodox as well.
Yeah, they're so unorthodox, and it's so hard. So you have to turn it kind of into a bit of a fight, and I don't like doing that in sparring. Do you know what I mean?
Just out of curiosity, Jack, what were your tactics going to be if we had a fight?
Jab and shav.
I was planning on. So I was watching you, and I know you got a good jab with a left hook. So I was going to be. I know you got a fast jab. So I was going to come in, moving my head side to side really quick and rolling, just like I normally do, and try and attack. But I was thinking it's going to be hard because of how quick you are and how big and strong, and your boxing brain's good. But I looked at that fight. Who was that fella that you fought? I think you got knocked down, but you got up to maybe get a draw. Mason.
That was
Mason Shaw.
No, Shannon Rich. I didn't get knocked down against Mason Shaw.
That was the first.
The Shannon Rich fight, he caught me with that overhand right, didn't he? And I fell onto the ropes.
So I was watching that, thinking I have to try and get in and try and do that if I could. But that was your early fight. You've improved since then.
Yeah. That was my first bare knuckle fight. That one. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. So you've improved. So you wouldn't be the same fighter anyway.
So how does it work? You know, I mean, one thing that I find difficult is when two people can go at it, not 10 shades of shit out of each other when they like each other. You know, when you get on and you like the person. I mean, the fights that I've been in them because the guy pissed me off or I just didn't like the guy. Do you know what I mean? That's the difference between me and you guys is like, you know, me not being a fighter of that level. I how does it feel to go in and make contact with somebody who, like we're having a conversation now? I can't, you know, if I was watching you two guys fight, I'd be cringing because I'd be like, you know what I mean?
I think what separates the doing it is the money. I mean, I wouldn't want to sit there and punch anyone that I got along with for nothing. Do you know what I mean? So, but if someone comes along and offers us a nice little wage, I'll just go, look, mate, it's our job. This is what we do. Let's just do it to each other. And
I've always found it easy to switch it off because of I wanted to be a fighter. So if I'm going in with Matt Skelton, I used to get on really well with Matt Skelton. But every morning I'd do 6 rounds and I would go out there and give him hell because I wanted to prove that I was a better fighter. So I could have someone I get on really well with, and they could say, "You're gonna fight me tomorrow," and I'd go, "Yeah," and I'd go out and try that, and I'd shake hands after. I just switch it off and go. Yeah. I think it's because I just always loved fighting and proving myself testing myself that I can just switch it off and on.
Yeah, same here.
So Jack, who do you fancy on the BKFC roster? Who would you like to fight that's up there in your weight division?
Do you know what? I'm really not bothered about calling anyone out. It annoys me when you see, especially when you see these ex-UFC fighters or ex-professionals going straight into trying to get a title fight. And it's like, look, it's a different sport. It's a whole different sport. Just because you was a good gloved boxer doesn't mean you're going to be a good bare knuckle fighter. So I'm happy just to sit back and take the fights that they give me and just keep improving. And once I've got my foot a little bit more in it and I'm a little bit more up the rankings, then I can start trying to dictate a bit more who I want to fight and stuff like that. At the minute, I'm happy to fight whoever.
And your next fight is in a couple of months?
3 months, the 24th of June in Newcastle.
And have they named your opponent yet?
They have, yeah.
Okay, but you're not going to let that slip then?
I'm not allowed to, not yet.
No.
I have said this time around though. I said, look, 1 or 2 pullouts, I'll take it. Any more than that, I'm pulling out the fight myself. I'm not doing it this time around. I'm not gonna fucking take whoever. Keep having people swapping and changing. It just ain't no good. So
anyway, chaps, we've been talking for just over an hour. I thought if we could just end with a positive note in terms of, obviously there's a lot of people on this corner of YouTube with mental health issues and, confidence issues and all the rest of it. And like I say, I think both of you guys are fantastic role models, and we need more people like you. Danny Christie, all right, I take the piss out of him occasionally, but also, it's showing that if you knuckle down and if you're motivated, you can achieve great things. So I'd just like to ask you, what would you give to advice to any young person watching this who is either interested in getting into the fight game or has got issues or is being bullied or, thinking back to those days?
For the bullying side of things, if there's any school kids out there being bullied, people ain't going to like this, but just punch them in the face. They will leave you alone. Punch them in the face and they will leave you alone. Trust me. Simple as that.
I would say the same. Bullies ruin people's lives, and bullies. I was getting bullied when I was young, and I became a fighter through it. But I'd also say to people regarding getting into fighting or anything that you're good at. If you're good at it, make sure you don't get disheartened if you get a setback, which is what I did. Put everything into it. If you've got a talent, really go for it, and keep away from crime. Drink, drugs, violence, all of that. Keep away from all of that because I've been involved in that and there's no good outcome from it all. And just work hard, train hard, keep healthy. I've got to just say as well, I've got some news coming up regarding mental health, addiction and stuff like that. I've got some news coming up which will be really beneficial to a lot of people on the channel, which is quite big news. It'll be like a weekly thing, but it'll be really, really beneficial to anyone suffering from addiction problems, depression, anxiety. It'll be really helpful. So I'm probably going to announce that at the weekend or next week.
Smashing. Good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Really, really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to it for ages. I was hoping it would happen earlier, but it's happened today, and I'm very, very chuffed. So I just want to wish you, Jack, the best of luck in your new fight. Matt, best of luck with your channel. It's it's taken off. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, thank you
with both your channels as well. I'm obviously a big supporter of both. So
cheers,
keep
Matt.
going with it. And
yeah, we've had a good chat. And I mean, it's not always. It's the first time I've done an interview with like 3 people, and it was like we were in the pub. So it was. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you very, very much indeed. And hopefully speak soon.
See you soon. All the best.
Cheers, mate.
Take care, everybody.